2018 is well in the books by now, which means it's time for me to do what everyone else has long since done. Make a video talking about my favorite games of 2018! It's old hat to say that the year seemed to last forever, and an escape I turned to more than I should have was to #game. To start this year's video, I'd like to introduce categories here and there in an attempt to talk about a few more games than I normally would have otherwise. This first one will be stolen from others. Every December I look forward to Giant Bomb's Game of the Year deliberations, which roughly equates to about 24 hours of podcast where the site staff pours into a room and hash out their various Game of the Year lists. In 2018, they tried a new format and tossed out one of the categories I was fond of. Which means that I flew out to San Francisco, dug around the CBS building's dumpster, and retrieved it for my own personal use. YouTube makes you do weird things. Without further ado,
2018's 2017 Game of the Year, presented by Burnout Paradise Remastered.
For people heavily involved in the video game space online, a lot of the time discussion is about what's going on now and what's coming out next, so it's nice to take some time out and talk about what's in the past. 2017 was a year where I missed a lot of the banner marquee titles, so I took time in 2018 to catch up on some. Breath of the Wild, Nier Automata, Mario Odyssey, and Horizon Zero Dawn are the biggest ones I made time for. These 4 games in particular were a lot of people's Game of the Year for a variety of reasons, and I think each has a pretty solid case going for it. There's no wrong answer here. So in my book, I have to say that Nier Automata is my 2018-2017 Game of the Year. It's weird because I don't think it's the best game of these listed, but I do think it was the most memorable for me. I'm a Platinum Games stan, but for some reason I passed out on A Tomato despite the rousing praise surrounding it. I feel like a dolt for doing such now. It's my first brush-in with the cult of Yoko Taro, but I totally get it now. I found the game to be very interesting from both narrative and gameplay perspectives. The light RPG elements really did a lot to keep the Platinum brand of hack and slash engaging throughout my 30 hours with the game. And from the style of hack and slash present, it's probably the closest I'll ever get to a Metal Gear Rising 2. But while the gameplay is fun, the world and presentation of A Tomato are what really left a mark on me. It's a post-apocalyptic environment where robots aimlessly seek out vain mimicry of human emotions and actions, as androids made to protect humans begin to question their purpose. I know that sounds very typical, and there's no way I could sell this game to you to make it sound as impactful as it is, but please trust me on it. This game made me feel things the game had never made me feel before. On top of it all, the music score is fantastic. It's always refreshing to play a title where the music isn't afraid to stand out instead of idly blending into the minute-to-minute and never being memorable. And boy, does it stand out. Nier Automata is a smart game that requires insight and commentary from those much smarter than me. But even somebody who is dumb like me can enjoy it and tell someone smart like you to go experience it. You know, the game's almost 2 years old. Maybe they'll show a logo for 2 at a Japanese live stream. And then just say it's a happy birthday. And that's not an announcement for a sequel. I just want another Metal Gear Rising. Oh god.
Number 10. World Premiere.
I never expected to put Pokemon Let's Go on this. Another remake of a Pokemon game I'd played a ridiculous amount of, with pared down features that seemed to be removing elements I enjoyed. The idea of a mainline adjacent Pokemon RPG with no random battles, held items, or abilities just did not make sense to me. It felt like a weird middle ground to the hardcore and casual styles of play that wouldn't appeal to either side. On top of that, Kanto was near identical to how it was laid out the last few times, with most of the same trainers standing around in the same spots. It just wasn't really speaking to me. That said, I was having a bad night a few days after it came out and bought it on a whim, figuring I'd just give it a chance. And against all odds, I'm very glad I did. It was really weird running into wild Pokemon and not whittling their hit points down. It was weird not giving leftovers to Snorlax to hold. And it kind of broke my brain a bit to play a modern day Pokemon game where I could hit Haunter with an earthquake. These things just felt wrong, but I couldn't deny that I was having fun. I think my biggest fear going in was that Pokemon Let's Go would be a brisk venture with so much time spent on wild battles removed, but I found that, amazingly, the original placement of the trainers from Gen 1 was giving me just enough action to keep me happy. It never felt like there were too many battles or not enough. That's a very happy coincidence. Also, my favorite new feature in this game might be the ability to access any Pokemon you have in storage at any time. It's fantastic, and I really hope they implement it into the main series too. See, not all of Let's Go's changes are bad. I do still wish that they had changed up the object placement in routes, or even added entire new ones and new cities to visit though. For as much fun as I had with the game, there was still a pervading feeling of been there, done that. Like, how cool would it have been to be able to take the SS Anne to a whole new mini-region at some point? Kinda like the added islands from the GBA remakes, just more fleshed out. If only. It's honestly better to approach this game as more of a casualized remaster of Pokemon Yellow, as opposed to a whole cloth remake, I think. All in all though, I really am surprised. Before it came out, I felt more and more put off by Pokemon Let's Go as more time passed. However, after playing it, and the more time that has passed since, I've really warmed up to it. I even hope we get a similar, or even better treatment for Gen 2. Never thought I'd say this, but I have my fingers crossed for it.
Number 9. World Premiere.
For me, Forza Horizon is comfort food. Every 2 years I can expect a top-notch, quality game, and I know exactly what I'm getting each time. Great driving, goofily saccharine characters constantly reaffirming me that I'm the best thing ever, gorgeous scenery, and a progression system that always makes me feel like I'm making some kind of progress, even if I'm just pulling mad donuts out in some poor man's crop field. Forza Horizon 4 is here to remind us all that, hey, sometimes something just works really, really, really well, and it's hard to improve on a solid formula. Thankfully, this game brings a nice new twist with its introduction of seasons. Each week, the season changes, making Forza Horizon 4 feel like more of a live game akin to a Destiny title. There's a reason to come back, something to look forward to, with each season bringing exclusive challenges and driving conditions to the fray. It's the best looking entry in the series and the one that feels the best to play. Colorado and mini Europe from the first 2 games are settings that captured my feelings more than 4's take on Britain, but it's still a very fun map that feels like it learned what it needed to from 3's massive Australia. In a world where the arcade racing genre seems to be spinning its wheels with titles like Onrush failing to find an audience and The Crew 2 failing to be above average, I'm thankful for the Horizon series. In an ideal world, it wouldn't be the only big budget arcade racing game on the block, but I'm happy that the one we have is so damn good. No matter what kind of day I've had, and no matter what mood I'm in, I can plop down and ram a WRX through stone walls and forget about my troubles for a bit. If you've yet to try one, grab a month of Game Pass for $1 and give it a shot. I think you'll like what's in store.
Number 8. World Premiere.
Everyone and their granddog on YouTube has spent about 1,000 hours talking about how much content this game has and what an achievement it is, blah blah blah. And I could do all of that here to justify why it's one of my favorite games from the year. My favorite thing to do in Smash is to unlock things, and ultimately let me unlock more characters than any other game in the series. I had a blast going through the revamped classic modes to do so, and I'll be coming to this game's versus mode to fight CPUs for years and years to come. I was less enthralled with World of Light, and while spirits are fine, I don't feel much compulsion to engage with them either. The game's still immensely fun for me though, and I'm so excited to see which oddball DLC characters continue to get announced for the game over the next year and change. That said, I'm not going to go on too long about this because everyone's talked about this game, and we all get it. It's Smash Brothers, you know, you like it. We all love it. And I can't wait for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate 2.
Number 7. World Premiere.
Shocker! Insomniac made a good game. However, it was a surprise to me just how good it was. From the trailers, I was worried this game would have a pretty average plot with a lot of QTE-focused segments and maybe have good swinging. Very fortunately, the delivered product is a game with a great plot, only a few QTE-focused segments, and exceptional swinging. Seriously, the first few minutes the game gives you control over web slinging, it was almost disorienting for me. The camera follows Marvel's Spider-Man in such a way that feels both tight and loose. The physics are spot on, it is simply immense, and coming to grips with the feel is perhaps one of the best moments I've ever experienced in a game. And that narrative, man. Whew. It kind of falls into the open world trap where the middle slows down a bit, and the game's final act feels like it passes a bit too quickly. But the climax is some of my favorite Spider-Man anything, right up there with the second Raimi movie and Spider-Verse. Seriously, I didn't expect to be shouting with excitement at how cool the final boss fight is visually, and then be reduced to crying a few mere minutes later, but this game's characters are just that effective. I wish I felt as engaged with the game's mission design, but overall, Marvel Spider-Man is a super solid experience, and I absolutely cannot wait to see how they improve upon it with the sequel.
Number 6. World Premiere.
I like Donut County a lot. I've done a video on it and streamed most of it on this very channel. Much like Forza Horizon 4, it's very cozy to me, but in a much simpler way. Its world is appealing, its characters are snarky and silly, its soundtrack is an indie dream to indulge in, and it just does exactly what it needs to in a short amount of time it has to offer. Check out my Please Play It linked in the card to hear more about it. Donut County is good.
2018's game I wish I'd spent more time playing.
Hitman 2 came out, and is more of 2016's Hitman in every way. This is a very good thing, because 2016's Hitman is one of the best games made in recent years. Hitman 2 kinda came and went and flew under a lot of people's radars, but it deserves far, far better, and I'm guilty too. Hitman balances tense stealth with a delightfully dark but goofy sense of humor to make a gripping style of game like no other. There is little that's more satisfying than coming up with a wild idea of how to eliminate a target and somehow carrying out that plan to fruition. The game got real cheap, real quick, and is worth your time. Plus, if you can find the first season of Hitman cheap, you can tick a box on the main menu and then play all of those levels in Hitman 2 with its new mechanics. Win-win. Play Hitman.
Number 5.
Close your eyes so you see my vision. Unite the souls so there's no division. Look into the future, we see all seasons. Aiming for the top, but what's the reason? Hands to the sky and realize.
Games like Tetris Effect don't come around often. I hate to start this off with reductive qualifiers, but yes, it is basically just Tetris. And yes, it does retail at $40 entire here in the States. But man, it has to be the best Tetris ever made. And hey, Tetris is pretty damn good. Sight unseen, if you told me that the minds behind Rez and Lumines were making a Tetris game, I'd tell you that makes 100% sense, but wouldn't be very excited. But from the moment I first tried the game's weekend demo, I was enraptured. Tetris Effect nails a lot, whether it be pure, raw Tetris bells and whistles, or, more pretentiously, the ability to make me feel when playing a game. Whether it be focus, heart-pumping tension, awe, or chills, the game is a tour de force from start to finish. And this is all without being able to try the game's VR mode, which I can only imagine is the ideal way to experience it. I really do think that Tetris Effect is a game that needs to be played by everyone. I know some scoff at the notion of games being art, and even those who do abide by that notion may laugh at me saying a Tetris game qualifies, but man, I really do believe that Tetris Effect plays to all the strengths of the medium. Intense addiction that makes you disdainful when parting from it, or the ability to connect you to sensation that other mediums simply lack, Tetris Effect is truly something special. Why isn't this game higher on my list? Simple. I'm terrible at Tetris and I couldn't beat the final level.
Hey, does anyone want to come over and beat it for me, or?
Number 4. Global Premiere.
A cool thing about 2018 was getting to review the Yakuza games for GameXplain. Thanks, nepotism! If you somehow didn't know, I adore this series, and finally getting to see it take its biggest steps forward in years was something really special. While I wish the game had more of the series' staple side activities, and while I wish more of the mainstay cast had been involved with the plot more than they had been, I still feel that Yakuza 6 is a solid entry in the series. Onamichi's characters were a highlight for me, and I do believe that 6 has some of the best drama and performances I've experienced in a game, full stop. I'll plug out to another video again here in the card, but if you want to know more about how I felt, go check out my review of Yakuza 6.
Number 3. World Premiere.
Florence is one of those artsy-fartsy games where talking about it maybe kinda ruins the essential first-time experience. So if my recommendations are one you for some reason consider, go to your smartphone, fork over a few bucks, and come back to this video after. It will only take you about an hour. If you're going to later, skip to this time in the video. And if you've already played it, or don't care, well, let's carry on, because I'm spoiling it here. You've been warned. Florence is a touch-driven narrative experience styled games on smartphones. As mentioned, you can see it through to its end in an hour. It's a game about love, loss, and repair, put so succinctly and conveyed so effectively through its mechanics in such a way that I've never seen a game accomplished in such an obvious manner, yet so gracefully. Part of what makes it work is that it's so easy to graft your own experience onto the characters. Sure, these are very distinct characters living a very particular life, but it's so easy to see yourself in it and someone you love or have loved there by your side. Florence rides high with moments like choosing which possessions to bring with you as you move into a new apartment with a new love, and Florence hits hard as you struggle to piece together a puzzle as a tense conversation depicted with a blank slate ensues. The truest gut punch is when Florence floats this mechanic for its final time. An argument plays out, and as you do your best to put the pieces in place, things you placed fall away, and no matter how much you go back to try and make sure everything stays together, it doesn't. Sometimes a relationship just can't work. No matter how much you want it to, and no matter how high and low you'll seek for a cure-all solution that will make everything right and keep them with you, you just have to let go and accept that it's going to fall apart. That's when Florence made me cry and accept some things I'd been struggling to face within myself. My favorite thing about Florence is that it doesn't depict these characters reconvening. Krish, the ex-boyfriend, doesn't show up on Florence's doorstep with flowers, nor do the two run into each other's arms in the pouring rain. Instead, Florence picks up those pieces and forges forward with her own purpose and pursuit of happiness. She works through the pain and reaches a point where she can view the relationship positively, and the game ends. Do they wind up together? Does Florence find a new love? The game expertly lets you imprint yourself into the experience and, without a word, gently guides your mind to remember that the future is unknown. What's next for these characters and what's next for you is unknowable. The only person you can control in life is you. Florence says and does a lot with little, and at the risk of sounding like a broken record, is also a game I think everyone needs to play.
Number 2. Fuck you, Shamu.
According to an email PlayStation sent me, I spent 104 hours in Yakuza Kiwami 2. That doesn't sound entirely accurate, but I could believe it, considering I feel like I did nothing but savor it for an entire month. The main thing holding me back from actually completing 100% of the game was Mahjong, because, God, Mahjong. Where Yakuza 6 made a decent argument for the Dragon Engine's existence, Kiwami 2 pulls its weight and made me a believer. I wasn't familiar with the original release of 2, so this isn't a bias speaking, but speaking generally, Kiwami 2 boasts a lot of the best this series has to offer. A very engaging story, memorable side stories, plenty of fun side activities, all while taking the physics-based combat and giving it most of the refinement it needed. I still want to see the Dragon Engine pushed further, perhaps this year's Judgment will give me that. But Kiwami 2 is yet another powerful step the Yakuza series has made since hitting its stride a few years back. I'd still give the edge to Yakuza 0 overall, but Kiwami 2 is an immense beast of a game, further solidifying the series as one of the best products Sega has ever produced. Again, I go more in depth in my review, but Yakuza Kiwami 2 is firmly one of my most beloved games in one of my most beloved series. 6 may have been the end of Kazuma Kiryu's story, but I'm glad we got to relive one of his most memorable outings in such engaging detail.
And finally, 2018's #1 game of 2018. World Premiere.
Surprise! I know, it's not surprising at all. As someone who grew up with the first Spyro games and adored them, Reignited was largely a dream come true. From the moment the Insane Trilogy was announced, I was fervently looking out for hints that Spyro would be getting a similar job done. I was really worried that if it were to happen, whoever was doing it would get a lot right, but fail to capture the magic, so to speak. Somehow, they managed to get more right than I expected and capture the magic. I was particularly worried about Spyro 1, which, compared to its sequels, has a certain vibe and ambiance that was unique to it. Reignited captured that lightning in a bottle and absolutely delivered. Level by level, Spyro 1 is the most impressively revamped game in the entire package. That isn't to say that 2 and 3 slouch, but as has since been revealed by my pal Rad's fantastic video on Reignited's development, Spyro 1 was far and away given more time in the oven. 2 is still a solid remake all in all though, and while 3 has some bugs and quirks that will hopefully get ironed out in an upcoming patch, I had a huge grin on my face nearly the entire time I was going through Reignited. I loved the look and creative liberties taken with most of the levels, I really jived with the redone music, I expressly adored the dynamic audio applied as I went through each level. I was just so happy. I want to go a bit more in depth on the dedicated video for Reignited soon, but the Reignited trilogy managed to give me the same wonder about the world of Spyro that I haven't had since I was a kid. I couldn't possibly say that these are the definitive ways to play the Insomniac Spyro titles. I still think there's immense artistic and technical merit to those original games, but Reignited is absolutely the most accessible and feels like a true labor of love from those involved. Even though I don't understand why they changed the Tiki Dude, seriously, those guys were so cool. Why do they look like Gatsumon's cousin now? Sanzaru, just tell me why! I can't wait to see what happens next with Spyro. I'm so curious to see if they do another entry in this gameplay style, and hey, maybe he'll pop up in that Crash Team Racing remake. Oh, speaking of, while 2018 was another great year for Vibio games, 2019 is also shaping up pretty well, and I'm pretty excited about that too. I watched my buddy Alex play through the first few hours of that Resident Evil 2 remake, and it seems fucking badass. KH3 is a surprisingly fun way to mash the X button for a few dozen hours, and Wargroove is one of the most striking indie games I've played in quite some time. Looking past that, I can't wait for Nitro Fueled so it can remind me I'm really bad at CTR. Shenmue 3 might actually not get delayed again and hit this year. Box Boy plus Box Girl will probably be the game of the year. That Link's Awakening remake looks nifty. Astral Chain promises to be more of that wonderful Prime Platinum Games and nonsense. And I guess Team Sonic Racing is out in a few months. Yeah. Hopefully next year I don't take so long to make my favorite games of 2019 video. Oops! As for my own channel this year, I want to keep tackling the Sega Ages releases as they hit, and delve back into some more Digimon this year. I'll probably be all over, so hopefully it stays interesting at the least. Sorry, that's all of the time I've got. I have to go back to playing Ape Leg on my Sony PlayStation 4. This video was generously supported by the following patrons. Thank you.